Foreign employers and Vietnamese employees. What's that like?
Take effing action, put it together, and subscribe to Tom Penn's channel on YouTube now. Yeah, I like it. It's crazy.
I want to share with you what it is like to be working for a foreign employer. Today, I'm at the Alibaba office. Me and my team come to the Alibaba office on a weekly basis. It almost feels like this is an extension to our own office. We're conducting a workshop, which is being impacted by the COVID-19 situation here in Ho Chi Minh City. There are some new cases in Da Nang and some suspect cases in Ho Chi Minh. So this is causing people to be more scared to come into an offline event. And there are people walking around me because I'm actually trying to save my time and doing these videos wherever I can. I try to make the best use of my time. So today I want to talk about what is it like to be working for a foreign employer. I want to discuss from an employer's perspective because I am foreign. I'm from Canada. I come to Vietnam 9 years ago. I've always been the head of the country for the company that I work for, or as an entrepreneur. Hey, Alibaba is also a foreign employer, right? Alibaba is a Chinese company working in Vietnam. There's many things I could share with you about the last 9 years, me working here as a foreign employer. So I want to give you my perspective, and hopefully that will help you in understanding how it is like to be working for a foreign employer. And also, over the last 9 years, I've learned a lot working with Vietnamese employees. So I want to share some of that experience with you. So again, like you can hear noises around me. That's because there's actually people working around me, and we have a active workshop in progress right now. So there's like all kinds of noises around me. Just bear with me. So having networked with many different CEOs and managing directors, all foreign employers based in Vietnam, I can say that all of them say that Vietnamese employees are really difficult to manage. This is not something that they expected when they entered the Vietnamese market. I certainly feel the same way. So oftentimes employers like to compare, employees in different countries. So if I'm from Canada, so I would compare a Vietnamese employee to a Canadian employee. Another person would compare, like, say, a Vietnamese employee to a Taiwanese employee, or a Korean employee, or a Japanese employee. So sometimes we actually say it in front of Vietnamese employees, right? Like the quality of employees in this country is just so much better compared to Vietnam. I don't think that's appropriate. I think that's, in hindsight, I think that's a mistake. I have certainly done it. Can understand that probably feels terrible for the Vietnamese employees to hear that, right? With that said, there is really a gap between the quality of employees in, say, Canada and Vietnam. Level of ownership, the level of responsibility, the level of skill set, it's just drastically different. In Canada, everybody wants to be responsible. Everybody wants to own more. Whereas here, most people are avoiding responsibility. They don't want ownership. They just want to make their minimum salary and live a average life. And that's how I see it. And I'm telling you the truth as I see it, right? Don't get offended. See, I'm doing it again. I'm comparing Vietnamese employees to, employees from a different market. But I want to say it in this video because, it's important, because for Vietnam to become a truly economic powerhouse, for Vietnam to actually acquire the living standard of, say, United States or Canada or Singapore, the quality of the workforce has to be drastically improved. I mean, if you want to earn the kind of wages people make in Singapore, for example, we need to make workers more productive. I'll give you an example. China is a fine example of that, right? 30 years ago, everybody was poor. Everybody was making very little money. And because the Chinese economy reformed and everybody was willing to work hard, everybody got the skill set and the ownership and responsibility. So China went from a completely poor country with nothing to the first economic power in the world, right? In just 30 years. It's because of the quality of its workforce. And I really want to see that happen in Vietnam too. I want my employees to be driving Mercedes, live in villas. That will only happen when the workforce is productive, talented, driven, motivated. I don't see that yet today in Vietnam. And my message to the employers is that don't compare employees in this market to another market, because it's not a good thing to say in front of Vietnamese employees. It makes them feel uncomfortable, right? So work with what you have. Try to motivate the ones that you can change, and eliminate the ones that you can't. That's a message for both employers and employees. The second point I want to talk about is, a lot of employers, including myself, want to be a good employer. I want to, give various benefits like happy hour, like free ice cream, like, free gift here, free gift there. Those things are actually nice. I think employees appreciate it. But over the years, I've realized that those things are not really that important to the employee, because we're in a market where salary is very low, right, compared to all other markets. There are people making 4, 5, 6 million dong a month, even in my own company. That's ridiculous. How can you live on that? So what I believe is that instead of doing these small things, free ice cream, free bubble tea, happy hour, team building, I prefer to reward my own employees with better compensation, with better salary, better commission. I want to be able to take care of the employees' basic needs first, because salary is very low here. People cannot live on that kind of money. The quality of life is not good on that kind of money. So I want to fix that first, right? Rather than putting the money into these small, trivial rewards that really don't mean very much and can't help anybody. It'll probably make the employee feel a little bit good, but that's temporary, right? That's not permanent. It doesn't help people's lives. So I want to be able to provide good salaries so they can have at least good basic living covered. But employers don't just do that for no return, right? Employers do it because they value the employee. The employee offers some level of contribution to the company, and the employer sees it and want to take care of the employee basic needs, right? It has to be a two-way street. It's not like employee does nothing but expect the employer to give them everything they want. That doesn't work either. So compensation is tied to contribution, right? If you want to make more money, then you have to put out the contribution. And for me, I don't want to pay my employee 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, because I know it's shit. It doesn't help the employee at all, right? That's like the cost of one of my dinner. Like, how can they live on that? I would prefer to pay employees 40, 50, 60 million dollars, but they have to give company the contribution that it requires. So if you can help marketing succeed, if you can help sales succeed, I would be more than happy to give you the compensation that you deserve. If you can bring in 1 T in sales, I don't mind giving you 50, 60 million of that in salary, seriously. So I only want to do that for people that can achieve results. I don't want to do that for everybody, because honestly, most people are shit. So my point there is, for employers, I think you should cut back on the happy hour, the bubble tea. I think you should focus on providing good compensation to good employees. And the message to employees here is that you gotta be able to contribute. If you can't contribute, you don't deserve that kind of reward. So the third point I wanna make here is commission KPI bonus policy, right? I'm guilty of this. I changed my KPI commission and the bonus policy, frequently. Once a month, I change it. And sometimes I don't understand why, salespeople or employees are upset over it, right? Because we do that in Canada, like it's normal, because companies adjust policy to help the company succeed, right? To hit company objectives. But one thing I've learned that in Vietnam is that when you change KPI commission bonus policy, usually it's reviewed as a negative thing, right? Employees tend to think, hey, you're trying to cheat me out of something. That usually creates problems. It only takes one person with a negative mindset to make everybody upset. What I want to say there is that for employers, be careful when you change KPI commission and bonus, because that's going to make Vietnamese employees generally upset because they will never see it as an improvement. They'll always see it as a detriment. So be careful when you change these things. And for employees, I want you to understand that companies change these things because they want to guide employees in the right direction. So if they want the employees to focus in a certain area, they would increase the reward in those areas. If they don't want the employees to focus on a different area, they will reduce the reward in certain areas. Generally, that's how they manage employees through policy, right? So I hope employees can understand that as well. So in summary, I want to say for employers, right, be careful when you compare local employees with a foreign employee because the culture is very different, the market is very different. So be careful when you say these things. It's going to hurt people's feelings. And for employees, I hope you understand that there really is a gap, right? And really for the benefit of yourself, for your company, and for this country, I hope that you will be part of the movement to make Vietnamese employees more productive. Second point, happy hours, bubble teas, those things are nice, but really they don't improve employees' retention because they're worried about their basic needs. They're worried about making 5 million, 4 million, 7 million dong a month, right? So employers should structure their compensation so that they reward the best employees and give them lots of money and make sure they stay in the company and continue to contribute. And the message there for employees is that you gotta contribute. If you produce little or nothing, then don't expect too much. Number 3 point here is that employers should be careful when they change KPI, commission, and bonus policies because Vietnamese employees tend to see that negatively. So be very careful when you make these changes and communicate them in a way that employees understand. I need to do better in that as well. And for employees, please understand that these things change because they're necessary. Because companies sets its direction by changing its policy. It's a normal thing and deal with it. You should not be thinking about the company is trying to take advantage of you. Rather, you should think about how to benefit from the new policy, how to advance company's objectives based on the new policy. Final comment here is that compensation must be tied to contribution in any market, in any country, right? You perform, you get more money, right? Employers should not be cheap about that. If the employee perform, give them more money. And the second point is that for the employers, I understand that Vietnamese employees can be difficult to manage, problematic, but then there's also a lot of opportunities here in Vietnam. And whichever employer can overcome these problems, they're gonna have a huge advantage over their competitors. I'm still struggling trying to figure that out, and I believe I will. Take care, and don't be a fucktard. Take fucking action.